Today I want to talk about typography and more specifically how to choose the right fonts for your website or design project. My goal in this video is to give you everything you need to confidently choose fonts that look good and work well, whether you're building a website or working on any other design project. These tips will help you make the right choices without getting overwhelmed. So let's talk about it. What's typography? Typography is the style and appearance of text, and it affects how people read and feel when they see your design. So good typography makes content easy to read, while bad typography can make this confusing or unprofessional. Now, I won't go deep into the technical terms because you don't really need them, but here are a few basic terms you need to know. Okay, so the first one is typeface. Typeface is a set of characters that share a common design. So for example, Helvetica, Times New Roman, Open Sans. And many people confuse this term and say it's a font, but in reality, it's called a typeface, okay? And a font is a specific style within a typeface. So for example, Helvetica Bold, Helvetica Regular, Helvetica Light, and it's something more specific, okay? Now, in this video, you will hear me using typeface and fonts as pretty much the same thing, but just for the sake of this video, I want to make clear that there is in fact a difference between these terms and they're not really the same. Next, we have serif and sans-serif. These are the two main categories of fonts. So how to choose whether to go with a serif or a sans-serif. So serif have smaller strokes or feet at the end of the letters, and these feel traditional and formal. And serifs are good for newspapers, books, and professional websites. And sans-serifs, on the other hand, don't have extra strokes, and it makes them look clean and modern, and they're good for websites, brands, tech brands, minimalistic designs. Okay, so how would you choose a font? Okay, once you've chosen the macro category, you want to pick a specific font. Okay, picking a font takes research and inspiration, but if you're unsure, here's a simple rule. You should stick to safe fonts, okay? And safe fonts are widely used, they're easy to read, and they work well on most screens. So some great options, as you can see right here, are for sans-serif, Inter, Open Sans, Lato, Roboto, and as you can see here, we have serif, we have Merriweather, we have Roboto, we have Crimson. Yeah, so highly recommend you go with these type of fonts, okay? And the question that arises at this point is, how many typefaces should you use? So my advice is less is more. You should use a maximum of 2 typefaces per project, and even using just one font can work great if it has different ways, like regular, bold, etc. And I would say that too many fonts can make a design look messy. The next question is where to find fonts. Now, if you need inspiration, you should check out these resources. The first one, and the most important one, is Google Fonts, and it's the best resource for beginners. So basically here you can see all the fonts, the most popular. You can sort them here on the top right for most popular, trending, and as you can see right here, you can see a lot of them and I highly encourage you to check this one out. And as you can see here, for example, if we choose Roboto, we can go down and see they have different fonts. They have thin, they have the regular, and what we can do with the font is to download it, or we can get the embed code. So it's a pretty good thing. Next we have font share, and this works pretty much the same way as Google Fonts. As we can see right here, we have a lot of different fonts available. Next we have fontpair.co, and you can see you can browse through hundreds of free fonts for your next projects. So a lot of nice fonts for you to choose. And then we have typespiration.com. We find free font combinations and color palettes to inspire your designs. This one is pretty good as well. So I encourage you to have a look at all these resources, and as usual, the links are in the video's description. Okay. So how do you choose the right font? So when picking a font, you should consider these questions. First one is, what feel are you looking for? What do you want customers to feel about your brand? So you want something clean, modern, you want something classic and professional. Second question is, who's your target audience? So a corporate website needs something more professional, I would say, professional font, and a creative brand can use something more unique. Third question is the font modern? So you should look at current design trends, you should research what top websites are using, and the other thing is you should test your choices. So another tip that I have for you before finalizing your font decision is to test using these tools. The first one being typescale.com. Typescale is an amazing tool because it guides you into choosing the right dimensions of your fonts and gives you a preview on how your website interface will look like. So I highly recommend you check this out. You can choose the size of your font. I recommend you stick to a major third or perfect fourth, and as you can see, you have a preview on the right side, and you can also change the font. So it's pretty good stuff, and you can change and see the mobile version as well. So it's pretty good stuff. And you can also see right here the dimensions of your fonts, so you can just copy and paste the different dimensions on your website. If you need help in pairing your fonts, maybe you've decided to include two different kinds of typefaces on your website and you need help in figuring out how they look together. With this tool right here, fontjoy.com, you can figure out, you can basically generate font pairings very easily. So you just choose a font right here. For example, we have Montserrat, and if you'd like to change the subtitle and text, you just click on generate and it will change the text for you. And you can also choose to have either a balanced contrast between the fonts, or you would like to have more similarity, you want something very similar, or a very high contrast. I recommend you stick to a balanced contrast. Next, let's talk about size and units. So for web design, it's best to use rem instead of pixels. And why is that? Because rem scales better across different screen sizes. So pixels are a fixed unit, and that means that the size stays the same no matter the screen size or settings. And for example, if the font size is 16 pixels, it means that the text will always be the same. And the problem is it doesn't scale well for different screen sizes. Okay. The second one is M. The M unit is based on the font size of the parent element, and the rem is relative to the root element of the page, okay, to the root element of the font size. So if the root font size is 16 pixels and you set the font size to 2 rem, it will always be 32 pixels, because 2 times 16 is 32. So no matter where it is on the page, okay. And rem is the best choice for web design because it's easier to maintain and scales much better. So to summarize, you should use rem for consistent and scalable typography. You should use M for things like spacing, padding, if you want it to be relative to its parent, and you should avoid pixels because it doesn't scale well for accessibility. And you can use this tool to convert pixels to rem. I will include the link in the description. As you can see, if I write 16, you'll see it's 1 rem. Now let's talk about some best practices when it comes to typography. The first one is that you should avoid using pure black or pure white as the color of your typography. They are simply too harsh, okay? And on your website, you should always use softer shades like these ones right here. And, you know, this black is a little bit lighter than a normal black, and this is a lighter type of gray, I would say, darker white. Okay. Second tip is that line height matters. The bigger the text, the smaller the line height should be. So always keep the right amount of space so that nothing feels too cluttered. Third tip is to use WOF or WOF2 format. So when you download a font, it's better to convert it to this kind of format and then upload the fonts you're going to be using on your website for better performance. Then we have number 4, which is limit font weights. You shouldn't use too many, and by font weights I mean extra bold, light, bold. So you should stick to maximum 2 or 3 for cleaner design and faster load times. Then you should ensure high contrast between text and background, okay? So you should always check contrast ratio for accessibility. You should make sure that everything looks fine. And I'll talk about this topic in another video about color and how to use it when doing design work. And last but not least, you should always test readability. So you should make sure that your fonts are easy to read, especially for users with visual impairments. Just stick to safe fonts, as I've said before. So to summarize, typography can make or break a design. You should keep it simple, stick to safe fonts, and always test readability. And the right font choice will make your design look more professional and user-friendly. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to check out my resources in the video's description, and I'll see you in the next one.